afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Today we have ourselves quite a show, as we have a lot to get to in the world of Southern California sports, such as LAFC advancing to the 2024 League Cup quarterfinals, where they will play a familiar foe in the Seattle Sounders. Did LAFC round out the sound against those Sounders, who managed to beat the LA Galaxy in the round of 32, but hey, at least it's not MLS. The Galaxy are still leading the Western Conference, which I think is super duper awesome. Also, LeBron James and Anthony Davis helped USA men's basketball win gold. How did the Lakers duo pull off and help the U.S. win the gold medal? Also, the Dodgers are one of the best teams internationally, but should we be concerned about them as they only lead NL West by 2 games? Also, the Chargers and Rams kicked off the 2024 NFL preseason, and they also had a joint practice with one another. The Rams impressed, the Chargers impressed. What takeaways do you have from the NFL preseason? All that and more here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome one, welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Friday afternoon, Friday evening, Friday morning, Friday wherever you are listening from. Either way, you've made your way into episode 191 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And without any further delay, let us begin. But first and foremost, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show would not be where it's at without IE Sports Radio providing the platform to go live on StreamYard. Please do give IE Sports Radio a follow on X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, especially follow us on Facebook. That definitely will benefit us. And on TikTok. And we are also available on podcast platforms such as Apple Podcast, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Amazon Music /Audible, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, JioSaavn. The list goes on and on. And we also have a website, iesportsradio.com, for all of your latest sports news, our blog, our Fans of the Month, our page dedicated to each podcast, such as the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, our merchandise shop, where you can cop some tank tops, some t-shirts, some hoodies for the winter, and some other IE Sports Radio swag. And just to let you all know that there is a sale going on our website where it's 20% off your order. This will go all the way to the end of August. And if you buy an order worth of $50 or more, you'll get it shipped for free. And we also have our Hall of Fame on our website as well as our as well as any other blogs and anything of your liking and peaks and interests. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that sports. Before we get on into the SoCal Supreme Sports Show action, follow the SoCal Supreme Sports Show at SoCal Show IESR on X, formerly known as Twitter. And you can follow me personally on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Teran Rodriguez 1. Before we get on into the action, we have to give a shout out and pay homage to our sponsors, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky and Seal the Deal Wax Seals. Without any further delay, let's get on in to what they're all about.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
That's right, everybody. Definitely check out Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B, as well as Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Also, when you order online, planetjerky.net, and you message Planet Jerky on Instagram, if you tell them you heard and ordered them off their website, courtesy of one of our shows on IE Sports Radio, you'll get a free bag of jerky as well. So definitely do that. Give them some love. And without any further delay, let's get on into the SoCal sports action, as the chat room is already bumping with Always Arizona Sports, a.k.a. Alden K. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. He has his show, AZ Sports Zone, going on live at 5 p.m. this week. So you have a great show in advance as well. I will try to catch some of it. I promise you I will. Also, Ralph Calise is in the chat room. He says, Teran, good evening. Have a great show. And he also says, not sure if your coverage includes the San Diego Padres, but how do you feel about them catching the Dodgers? I'm definitely going to be covering that, and that's going to be for later on in the show. That's going to be toward the tail end of the show. But without any further delay, let's get on into the sports action from Southern California. So before I continue, I do want to apologize for not going live. So unfortunately, I just had too much going on. I thought I would go live on Saturday, but I was just so dead tired from work. And then Friday, I had a lot of stuff going on, and I just could not get StreamYard to work on my laptop. But thankfully, I have StreamYard up and running on my phone, and I'm able to do it by myself. So we have success, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, now let's get on into the SoCal sports action. So the Chargers and Rams both kicked off their preseason, and they actually had a joint practice in day 10 of training camp, or at least day 10 of the Chargers training camp. So for the Chargers, I will just say they obviously had their joint practice with the Rams. Whenever they practice with the Rams, it's always pretty good, if you ask me. And the big thing about them is that they actually recorded 6 takeaways from the Rams in the joint practice. So I know that's a little far-fetched, but this kind of begs the question. Is 6 takeaways in a joint practice a good thing, or is it just a joint practice and that it's not really for real. Now, I have mixed feelings just because I'm not a training camp guy. I mean, training camp is just for like player development, and it's also for the possibility of players making the 52-man roster. So, honestly, I will say I hope that this is a good sign just because the Chargers were one of the worst defenses in the league last year. But the Chargers healthy will definitely be a threat to most of the better teams in the league. Now, the AFC is stacked, as I've mentioned before, and the Chargers are trying to be amongst some of the best. But you have a lot of good teams in the NFL. So for the Chargers, it's just going to be a work in progress. I hope they're able to piece everything together and get everything going because I really want them to find success. Obviously, I don't expect them to be Super Bowl contenders, but honestly, I will say a step in the right direction would be being over 500, making the playoffs. And heck, even if they go above and beyond, great. But if they find progress and they don't have a worse record than last year, or they don't finish dead last in the AFC West, then that's also progress. So the big thing for the Chargers is that Justin Herbert is now out of his walking boot. So Justin Herbert is back as he will. I don't think he'll be playing in any preseason games, but from what I'm hearing is that the Chargers are going to be ramping up his practice style and basically just ramping up everything before week 1 against Raiders. Had to do that Chris Berman voice, but Justin Herbert getting back is big right there, just because they don't have to rely on Easton Stick to throw the ball. And honestly, I think Justin Herbert, he'll obviously be seeing a ramp up in practice, and maybe he'll get to see some action in a preseason game. But I wouldn't be totally against it, just because we have seen starting quarterbacks get some reps in. So I think that wouldn't be too bad of an idea. But time will tell when it comes to Jim Harbaugh and crew. I mean, preseason is basically risk versus reward, as obviously you want to get your players as many reps as possible. You don't want them to be rusty, but at the same time, you want to avoid them getting injured because the Chargers don't need any more injuries going into this season. So this is a promising side for the Chargers, and I expect him to be ready by week 1. I just hope he's able to find his receivers, just because it's a whole different team. Some are saying that the Chargers will go above and beyond. They'll finish second in the AFC West. Some will say that they'll finish last. Some will say they'll finish third behind the Raiders. I will say that the Chargers are going to be interchangeable with the Raiders. Like, you could make the argument for Raiders second, Chargers third, or Chargers second, Raiders third. And they also can't underestimate the Broncos. The Broncos are a solid team. They may be a young team, but I just think that the Broncos should still be feisty and possibly a challenger worthy of anyone's time. And it's any given Sunday or any given week when it comes to the NFL. Anything can happen. All right, but that's enough when it comes to the whole Chargers news. But again, the Chargers defense recording 6 takeaways is promising, but again, we can't ride this to the end. All right, so now let's get on into the NFL preseason. And I'm literally just going to say this right now. Stop freaking out over the NFL preseason. I swear. I don't care if my team wins or loses. I don't care if another team wins or loses. It's only preseason. I can't stand when people make such a huge deal over preseason. It doesn't count. Please just stop with the freaking out over preseason. Stop with the planning of the championship parades. Stop hitting the panic button. Just enjoy the NFL preseason. Just please. Look, I understand people love having their football back, but preseason doesn't mean squat. For me, it's just about player development and who's going to make the 53-man roster. If you are making a huge deal about NFL preseason, unlike me, please just stop. If your team wins big time, great, but it doesn't mean anything because it's preseason. If they lose big time, it does not matter. You will be fine. Your team will be fine. When everyone puts on the pads and whatnot, then it starts to matter, and then you could start basically judging on how your team does. But please, for the love of God, stop making a huge deal over preseason. I don't care if you're a Chiefs fan, a Chargers fan, a Rams fan, a Cowboys fan, a Jets fan. I don't care what kind of fan you are. Just please stop making a huge deal over preseason. All right, now that I've got that out of my chest, let's get on to the Chargers preseason game against the Seattle Seahawks. So the Chargers wound up losing to the Seahawks 16-3. But honestly, they were starting Easton Stick. And even if Justin Herbert was healthy, I don't think he would have played, especially with that foot of his or his plantar fasciitis or whatever he has. Regardless, the Chargers lost 16-3, and it was kind of that Easton Stick game where the offense just could not get anything going. I'm sorry, but one thing to take away from this Chargers loss is that Easton Stick might not be the backup QB for the Chargers. I'm sorry, but Easton Stick, he comes from North Dakota State, but this dude is just so offensively inept, it's not even funny. When he took over for Justin Herbert following the Broncos game, it was ugly. The Raiders game was ugly. He had his one little shining moment when he almost led the Chargers to an upset win over the Bills. But after that, no. So the Chargers may need to, may need to look into a better backup, just because in case Justin Herbert does somehow get dinged up, heaven forbid, or something happens, the Chargers need to be ready. So please, for the love of God, Chargers, maybe find a better backup than Easton Stick. But I digress. Again, it's just preseason, and who knows? Maybe he won't make the 52-man roster. But unfortunately, I just don't see him being the backup going forward. I think he might be the worst backup in the league. I'm sorry, Easton Stick. You're cool and all, but you've just regressed offensively as a backup. It's not even funny anymore. I think there are a handful of backup quarterbacks I'd rather have than Easton Stick. And that's saying a lot because he actually did start in all of his games, and the Chargers wound up winning nothing. They lost every game. They got belted by the Raiders. They got edged by the Bills, even though it was partially due to the defense having a huge gaffe. The Broncos game wasn't any better. And the Chiefs game, even though the Chiefs were playing their backups, it was still all kinds of UGLY. So that is that for the Chargers side of things. So going over to the Rams actually had themselves quite a successful preseason game as they wound up beating the Dallas Cowboys 13-12 after Stetson Bennett led a late touchdown throw to Miller Forrestall. So again, it's just preseason. This win would have been so much better had the Rams played the Cowboys, or if the Rams had beaten the Cowboys, even though I don't think if the Rams had beaten the Cowboys, they would have gotten a higher seed than the Eagles, because the Eagles did beat the Rams last year, and then I think they still would have had the same record, and the Eagles had the tiebreaker. So I still think the Rams would have been 6th, while the Eagles would have been 5th, and then, yeah, it still would have been Rams versus Lions, Eagles versus Bucks, etc., etc. But that is in the past. So this game, sorry, in case you're wondering why I'm sweating a little more than I am, I'm actually up in my little guest room, my little Teran cave. This isn't my room, but this is kind of like my second studio. Normally I'm downstairs in my house, but now I'm upstairs just because I think it's a little bit better for me. So if I sweat a little bit, I apologize. It is still pretty hot here in Southern California, but I digress. All right, but as for this win, Stetson Bennett obviously had himself a nice late touchdown drive, which I think was pretty good if you ask me. But despite this, he wound up having 4 interceptions. He almost had 5, but thankfully for him, the Cowboys got called for holding, so that negated the interception, the 5th interception from Stetson Bennett. So I think for him, he should be thanking his lucky stars that he was able to pull a Trevor Lawrence and help the Rams win this preseason game. So some standouts in this preseason game were Jordan Whittingham, who had 74 receiving yards and 6 receptions. Boston Scott, who had 68 rushing yards and 15 carries. And Josh McCarty, who did not miss a field goal. So in case you're living under a rock and wondering why I put a kicker on there, the Rams really struggled with kicking. And honestly, Josh Carty was one of the better kickers in FBS football from last year. So I think for the Rams having Josh Carty, I think that's big right there. But for me, I think those are my standouts in that game. I didn't really look too much on the defense side just because it was a defensive battle. When you compare this game to like the Broncos and Colts preseason game, it's basically like comparing apples to oranges when it comes to the offenses. But it was a defensive battle. It was actually one of the more thrilling preseason games, but I was rather impressed. I'm not a preseason guy. I don't think it's anything to hit the panic button over of if you're either of these teams. But honestly, Jordan Whittingham looked very promising. And I didn't even know Boston Scott signed with the Rams, but that's pretty cool. Though I don't know if he's going to be getting a roster spot because he's got to compete with Blake Corum for running back 2. And then he'll still be behind Kyron Williams for running back 1. So, yeah, I think it's going to be an uphill climb for Boston Scott. But, hey, maybe he could play like punt returner or something of that sort. So, regardless, that's the takeaway for the Rams. But I just don't think Stetson Bennett is the guy when it comes to being the backup. So overall, it's good that Stetson Bennett was able to have that shining moment in preseason. But honestly, I don't think he's going to be the backup when it comes to the Rams anytime soon. So there you have it right there for the Rams. Something else to make note of when it comes to the Rams, and I totally forgot to switch up the color when it comes to the Rams and whatnot, which is my bad. I will just say for the Rams, look, this is something to kind of keep an eye on, but not too much. But Matthew Stafford does have a minor calf injury. He should be fine. But my big thing is Jimmy Garoppolo the ideal backup for Matthew Stafford? I say yes. Now, if Jimmy Garoppolo is healthy, then I am 100% on the Jimmy Garoppolo train. And once our enemy is now our friend. So I'm happy that the Rams will have Jimmy G, and hopefully for the Rams' sake, they will able to fully maximize his true potential. So again, he's going to be a backup. I don't think Matthew Stafford is going to be giving up that backup position, but I think Jimmy G could be one of the better backups. He might be arguably the best backup. Okay, maybe not one of the best backups, but probably the second best backup behind either Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew. But I think for the Rams, they're in good shape in terms of who their backup is. Again, I know it's just preseason, but I think they know who their backup's going to be. I wish Whittingham would have a spot on the Rams roster, but he's not even going to crack wide receiver 4. Maybe he'll play punt returner, but then again, I said Boston Scott was going to be punt returner. So if Jordan Whittingham is going to have any hope of making the Rams 53-man roster, he's probably going to be sitting the bench and whatnot in case DeMarcus Robinson, Cooper Kupp, or Puka Nacua, heaven forbid, get injured. Hopefully we don't see any more injuries this season for the Rams. Knock on wood. But overall, I was very impressed by the Rams. Again, just preseason, but I think it was still pretty solid. But I think Matthew Stafford should be fine before week 1 against the Detroit Lions. So as for week 2 of the NFL preseason, that's going to be this Saturday or tomorrow when the Rams and Chargers face one another. Now, for this matchup, the Chargers are going to be the home team. They're listed as the home team when it comes to this whole shindig. Again, it's going to be at SoFi, obviously, and again, it's only preseason. I know in recent years in preseason, the Chargers have had a lot of success over the Rams, but it's just preseason, nothing to overly be concerned about and whatnot, but I digress. So we'll see what happens going forward when it comes to the Rams and whatnot, as well as the Chargers. I might be able to, I might be able to see this. I might not be able to. But again, it's just preseason. I'm not going to lose sleep if the Chargers lose to the Rams. And as my boy on X from Twitter, AC to GDB would say, SoFi Stadium and who was LA's team in the NFL was decided when the Rams wound up winning the Super Bowl in SoFi Stadium. And I'm going to live and stay true to that statement. So thank you to AC to GDB. I'm going to forever remember that statement. But that's going to do it for the NFL portion of this show. We are going to take ourselves a quick little commercial break. When we come back, we've got some MLS to discuss. Even though it's not MLS, we still have the Leagues Cup. And then we also have some NBA to discuss as the schedules were just released for the Lakers and Clippers. And then we also have some MLB to discuss. Keep it locked here. You're listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
What's good, everyone? It's Drewski, the host of Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. On this station, we cover everything in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. From where we cover the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Stars, Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Wings, Texas Rangers, TCU, SMU, we cover it all right here every Wednesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you stay live with me on the Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you at the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
Back with segment number 2 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out all of our amazing shows, such as New York State of Sports with Ricky K and the Heart of Texas Sports with my man Drewski. And with all that said and done, let's get back on into the second part of the show. So the Olympics are pretty much over and done with, which means sports are starting to get back into the full swing of things. Unfortunately, it means we got to go back to talking about the Sparks. Oh. Yeah, long story short, the Sparks got belted by the New York Liberty. Oh my God, get me off this ride. But more importantly, we have some more fun things. So with the Olympics over and done with, it's a bittersweet moment because I love talking volleyball, but on set point. But I also, with the Olympics being over and done with, it also means that the MLS is back. So while the MLS as a whole isn't back, there are teams that were partaking in the 2024 Leagues Cup, which was LAFC. So LAFC actually did not win their pool. They actually lost on penalty kicks to Vancouver 4-2, which is unfortunate. But thankfully, LAFC was able to advance to the round of 32, where they took down Austin FC 2-0. And then and they also took down the San Jose Quakes in the round of 16, 4-1. So LAFC advanced to the quarterfinals, where they will play the Seattle Sounders at 5 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow. Honestly, these two teams are rivals, and honestly, I would not expect anything less from these two teams. These two teams do not like each other in the slightest. So I think we can expect a barn burner with these two teams and when they face one another. I think we will be getting a big-time matchup right here. And LAFC has been doing really good when it comes to their season. They're second in the Western Conference, and they're showing no signs of a MLS Cup hangover. And it's really impressive how LAFC continues to be consistent. Now, the big thing is for them, can they be consistent all the way to the finish line? I think it's definitely doable just because they have a lot of talent on their team. They spent a lot of money, and anything short of making the Western Conference Finals or maybe the second round would be a massive disappointment. But I think LAFC is fine. They're doing so great. And you can't say anything bad about this LAFC team because they're living up to the expectations. Normally, they would have a little bit of a lull year where they would basically take a step back. Like some of these teams early on either took a step back or they just looked terrible altogether. Like for instance, St. Louis. But now LAFC is not amongst that team where they were good last year, and it was all just a 1 year span or whatnot. So I'm very impressed by LAFC, and here's hoping they can bring home the gold when it comes to the Leagues Cup, because it's certainly not going to be easy to win an in-season tournament. Is it a big deal? Not really. I mean, if they lose the Leagues Cup, it's not anything to cry about. I think it would just be something as an added bonus, and I think the players get an added bonus when it comes to their paychecks and whatnot. So, and they also get to hang a banner in BMO Stadium. So there you have it right there for LAFC. I think they have been rather impressive, and the fact that they're still doing wonders in the Leagues Cup is great. My only concern is if they make it all the way to the Leagues Cup finals, they'll have to start postponing games because the MLS is back on not this Saturday, but next Saturday. Yeah. And in that span, LAFC will be playing Vancouver, which is still amongst one of the top teams in the Western Conference. So maybe too much soccer could be a bad thing for LAFC, but hey, they'll get to face their rival Seattle, and iron sharpens iron. Now that they've got some of the, I wouldn't say bad teams out of the way. I mean, San Jose was a complete train wreck. Obviously, LAFC has had a lot of success over them this season, even though they lost to them. And then Austin FC hasn't really been all that great. Seattle's going to be a barn burner, so expect a true dogfight between these two teams, and definitely tune in if you can. All right, but that is that for LAFC. So jumping over to the Galaxy, they actually also partook in the 2024 Leagues Cup. Unfortunately, they did not have the same success as LAFC did, as in the round of 32, despite winning their pool, which was against Guadalajara and I forget. Guadalajara and San Jose. So Guadalajara, they actually wound up winning on penalty kicks 5-4. Woof. So they wound up winning their pool, but that might have been the worst thing for them because they actually fell to the Seattle Sounders in the round of 32 by a score of 3-1. So unfortunately for the LA Galaxy, they wound up losing that one way early. But again, Seattle is also their rival. Seattle is just a big-time rival. I bet you Seattle just hates LA sports with a passion. But I will say the Galaxy losing kind of did surprise me. I didn't think the Galaxy would play that bad, but the fact that they had to sweat one out in penalty kicks really must have been stressful. But had the Galaxy beaten the Sounders and had they gotten out of the round of 16, would they have been able to play LAFC? Food for thought right there. And El Tráfico in Leagues Cup, that would have been a barn burner. But the silver lining for the loss in this for the Galaxy is it didn't come in the MLS play, and they're still atop of the Western Conference. Now, Seattle, I will give credit to. They are definitely as good as advertised. There's a reason why they're amongst some of the top teams in the Western Conference. So I think for the Galaxy, I think they just were caught off guard. They were winning quite a bit of games before the MLS break, courtesy of the Olympics. And they also wound up, I wouldn't say they got a little overconfident, but I will say that I feel that they were kind of due for a clunker game, as my brother would say. But again, it happened in non-MLS play. If it happened in MLS play, then maybe we'd be a little bit concerned about the Galaxy, but they're still having a great season. And for example, they're still first in the Western Conference, which I think is totally awesome. You have to admire the Galaxy's turnaround from the previous year. The Galaxy last year were horrible, terrible, stinky cheese. They were garbage truck juice, as my boy Marcus Lowe-Scrape would say. But they were just awful last year. Now they are looking really good. They're the best team in the Western Conference. This is a whole different LA Galaxy team. And remember, this is all because Chris Klein is out of there. With Chris Klein still being the head manager of the Galaxy, I don't know if the Galaxy would be in the same echelon as they are currently. So Adam Carn pops into the chat room. He says, "Good evening, Teran. Thank you for tuning in, Adam." But the Galaxy did lose in the Leagues Cup round of 32, which is definitely unexpected by them. But it is what it is. What matters most is them winning the MLS Cup. So next up for your Western Conference leading LA Galaxy, they actually return to MLS play when they host Atlanta United next Saturday. So it's not this Saturday, it's next Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, and it's going to be at Dignity Health Sports Park. I almost said StubHub, but yeah. Adam said, give that the Charles Barkley treatment. The Galaxy were terrible, just terrible. Yes, they were terrible, but they were terrible when it mattered the least. So I think the Galaxy will be just fine going forward, and this loss will be nothing but an anomaly, but nothing but an afterthought. So anyway, back to the Galaxy. They play Atlanta United next Saturday, which I think is going to be a very fascinating matchup. So we'll see what they can do. But for right now, that's pretty much going to be it for the Galaxy and the MLS portion of the show. Both MLS teams from Southern California are doing great guns. So now it's all a matter of them basically staying the course and not losing sight of the true goal. But that'll do it for the MLS portion of the show. When we come back, we've got some USA men's basketball to discuss, and we've got some MLB to discuss. So keep it locked here. You are listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter at any time. Be happy to reply. Always want to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Sorry, everybody. Of course that would happen. And we are back with the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out all of our amazing shows, especially Let's Whine About DMV Sports, which will actually be live at 6 p.m. Pacific time later tonight. So sorry about that little technical hiccup. Of course that would happen. Of course the whole camera rotating upside down glitch would happen. But that's the drawback of using StreamYard on your phone, but I digress. All right, so let's get back on into the Southern California sports action. So let's actually jump to some NBA. So Lakers and Clippers schedule were both released. I'm going to do kind of a full breakdown of that next week, as well as group pool play for the in-season tournament, where the Lakers wound up winning that. But the Clippers actually saw the grand opening of their new stadium, Intuit Dome. So for Intuit Dome, it's basically the new place where the Clippers are going to be playing. I don't know why grand is capitalized, but it is what it is. So the grand opening was yesterday, and there was actually a Bruno Mars concert happening. So I didn't go to this Bruno Mars concert just because I don't want to pay an arm and a leg to go to a concert. I'm not much of a concert guy. Maybe I'll go if it has some meaning for me, but I digress. Or if someone gives me tickets, then I'll go, but I'm not a big concert guy. My brother is, but yeah, Intuit Dome looks really cool if you ask me. Maybe one day I will go to a Clippers game and see what it's all about. And I just got to say, welcome home, Clippers. Unfortunately, you will no longer be at the Crypto.com arena or the former Staples Center. It will forever be Staples Center, gosh darn it. But you will no longer be sharing Staples Center with your predecessors or big brothers in the Lakers. So you will be at Intuit Dome. So I really want to go check that out one day. So hopefully, here's hoping I am going to be able to check out the Intuit Dome. It does look like a very cool place, and there was a lot of money spent on this. So I will say this for Steve Ballmer, he's a genius. So here's hoping the Clippers have success, and here's hoping that they will be able to find happiness in their new dome. But now let's get on into a little bit of some NBA action regarding the Lakers. So when it comes to the Lakers, LeBron James and Anthony Davis were busy over the summer as they actually helped lead USA men's basketball to the gold in the Paris Olympics. So this was last week, and oh my God, last Saturday's game between them and France was a barn burner, and it could have gone either way. The Serbia matchup was what really made me sweat. Serbia almost had the U.S. on the ropes, but thankfully Steph Curry was him. I will just say, as a Laker fan, I'm happy that Steph Curry had that Mamba mentality. Speaking of Mamba mentality, LeBron, AD, and USA men's basketball wound up winning the gold medal on August 10th, 2024. So August 10th, 2024. Do you want to know what that means? Those numbers were the numbers that Kobe Bryant wore when he played. 8 and 24 were obviously from when he was with the Lakers, and the number 10 one was when he was with USA men's basketball. So honestly, I think for the USA men's basketball, I'm very happy that they were able to bring home the gold. If this is LeBron James's last Olympic run, then I think he should go out on top, because the dude's going to be one of the older players in the league, and he should enjoy playing with Bronny and and help the Lakers get back to their rightful glory, hopefully. But overall, the France game was a barn burner. Steph Curry was amazing. LeBron James, he had a triple-double in the semifinal game against France. In the quarterfinals, USA actually had to rally back from 20 points down to beat Australia. I think it was Argentina, not Australia. But regardless, Argentina was a barn burner, and I'm glad the U.S. was able to pull out the win, as well as beating Serbia. And then also pulling out the gold, which it was against the home team France, or the home country France. And France, they have some studs. They have, oh gosh. I don't know why I'm blanking on the name. Nick Batum of the Los Angeles Clippers, or if he's still on the Clippers. They also have, why am I blanking on the French players' names? They have Rudy Gobert, which we all know who he is. We don't need an introduction. There's Victor Wembanyama. That's the guy who I was thinking of. Victor Wembanyama. That dude was balling out. Yeah, Victor Wembanyama, Nick Batum. They also had Rudy Gobert and a bunch of other talented French players. So I think for the U.S., they were able to bring it, and I'm glad AD was able to contribute just a bit. He didn't contribute all that much, but I will say he was able to contribute quite a bit. And LeBron was obviously LeBron, so great job to those two helping the U.S. bring home the gold. If I'm Anthony Davis, though, I'm hoping to get better and hope that I make a big impact, because Anthony Davis, he's a good player, but he just lacks that consistency. But overall, I think that it was very enjoyable to watch the NBA. It was great watching something other than volleyball, because as you all know, I am the host of Set Point. So I think it was great to watch a little bit of basketball. It's kind of weird because I've kind of veered away from basketball just because there's not a lot of defense being played. But the Olympics do it a whole lot differently. There's 10 minutes and it's kind of like a little of college basketball in the NBA mixed together. So regardless, it was fun. And again, it was great to see the U.S. men's basketball continue their dominance. I think this is their 4th straight gold medal, which I think is awesome. And then the women's were just amazing, though I don't think there were any locals on that team. But they also beat the French. But that's pretty much that when it comes to the Olympics right there. Those are some of the notables. And obviously Simone Biles was amazing when it came to the gymnastics and whatnot. So that is pretty much that for the U.S. and Olympic portion of the show. But you want to know what next year or the next Olympics are going to be at? Los Angeles, LA, baby. And I'm hoping to be part of the Olympics. Well, in terms of covering it, and who knows, maybe I will cover some NBA and whatnot for my boys, Davidson Crooks and Dentarius Locke, but I digress. All right, but that's going to do it for the NBA portion of the show, or basketball portion of the show. All right, so seeing as the Angels are dead, I don't really need to talk about them. But as Ralph Calise aforementioned in the chat room, the Dodgers, it's kind of looking a little horrid on how they're basically letting up this lead. And I know their pitching is a little down, but I will say only being up 2 games over the Padres and the Diamondbacks, I think we should all be concerned. Now, they obviously have Shohei Ohtani, but the fact that the Dodgers were looking good, they had won 5 in a row. They swept the Buccos, and they also took the first 2 games. Adam Clark says, Set Point will be live from the beach. Yes, I'll be covering beach volleyball as well, but that'll be in Long Beach. I don't know the full whereabouts, but I think they're going to have beach volleyball in Long Beach, and then the indoor volleyball is going to be at the Honda Center, or the Arrowhead Pond, as I used to call it, or that will be forever called for Ducks fans. But yeah, Honda Center for indoor volleyball, and then beach volleyball, I think, will be in the city of Long Beach. But I can't fully confirm the latter, but I digress. All right, but back to the Dodgers. Yeah, I thought if you're a Dodgers fan, you got to be concerned because you're only up 2 games on the Diamondbacks and on the Padres, both of which are vying for wild card spots as well. So the Dodgers need to get healthy ASAP when it comes to their pitching, and they also need to have consistent at-bats. Because if they don't have either, then this is going to be a wash of the season. Because in their second to last game against the Brewers from this past week, they had the lead, and then they kind of let up, which was absolutely bologna sausage. So I think for the Dodgers, they really need to ramp it up. They really need to get healthy, and they just can't bank on Shohei Ohtani to save them every single time. But we'll see what happens. So for the Dodgers this weekend, they have the St. Louis Cardinals at St. Louis, and then on Monday through Wednesday, they return home to face the Seattle Mariners. That's a big test right there because Seattle is one of the better teams in the MLB. And then they've got the Tampa Bay Rays next weekend, which they should be able to handle those Tampa Bay Rays. The Rays are not that good this season. So overall for the Dodgers, they really got to step it up when it comes to their team because they've spent all that money only to see themselves poo-poo the bed. And I said that if they don't win a World Series or at least get to the World Series, then I'm gonna give them Dum Dum of the Week, or Dum Dum of the Year. So Dodgers are skating on thin ice. So we'll see what happens, but I really just got to be hopeful as a fan. Now, on the flip side of things, when it comes to the Padres, are they trending in the right direction, and can they win the NL West? I think they can, actually. I think those Padres can win the NL West, and I think they are trending in the right direction. They actually just swept the Pittsburgh Pirates again, and they've won 10 of their last 11 games, which I think is so impressive. They've also, if you're going past the whole series, they've actually won 11 out of their last 13 games. But the fact that they've won 10 of their last 11, that's really good right there. I really think that the Padres are really stepping it up at the right time. And if they continue this hot play, nobody's going to want to play them just because they have that dark horse factor. And Manny Machado has definitely been a bright spot for this team. I thought Manny Machado was going to be a meme. I thought he was pretty much dead in the water. But Manny Machado, I've been rightfully impressed by. And I think he'll be able to continue to do great things. He has revived his career after a short stint with the Dodgers and a longer stint with the Baltimore Orioles. So I think the Padres are in a great position. They're only back 2 games, and you look at the games that they have from now all the way to next week. So this weekend, they are on the road against the Colorado Rockies. That's definitely winnable right there. They actually took 2 out of 3 the last time they played, which I think was a week or 2 ago. But yeah, they've also got the Minnesota Twins Monday through Wednesday, which I don't think should be too difficult. And then they've got a 4-game series against the New York Mets at home on Thursday through Sunday, next Thursday through Sunday. So the Mets are vastly improved. I think the Mets can definitely give the Padres a run for their money. But if the Padres keep playing like they have been playing, we might be seeing a new leader in the NL West. I think the Padres have been doing really good. They don't have that baggage with Fernando Tatis Jr. being suspended and whatnot. So having him back also really helps as well. So I just think that the Padres are playing so great as of late, and it's just darn right impressive if you ask me. So I'm really excited for what this Padres team can do. They're certainly better than the Angels. We're not going to talk about the Angels anymore. We're not. They are pretty much dead in the water. They make me just gag. But I digress. So yeah, this is a pivotal stretch for the Padres. But if they play their cards right, they could be on top of the NL West. And who knows, maybe they could be on top of the National League because the Dodgers are one of the best teams in the National League, but they're only half game back of the Phillies. Meanwhile, right behind them, like I said, Padres are 2 back. Diamondbacks are also creeping up on them as well. Just goes to show that the AL or American League is pretty top heavy, while the National League is not that high on talent, other than the West Coast teams. But I'm really excited for what's to come for this Padres team. All right, but that is that for the MLB portion of the show. Before we get on out of here, we have to give out our Dum Dum of the Week. So Dum Dum of the Week goes out to someone that basically does or says something dumb. No one is safe from this award. Anyone can get this Dum Dum of the Week award. And I just got to say, in case you're wondering why I'm on a little later than normal, it's because I actually initially recorded, but I forgot to hit record. I forgot to hit go live. I wouldn't call that a dumb moment, but I will just say that's pretty embarrassing. I actually did pretty good in the first initial trial when I did not hit go live. But I guess this one kind of tops it and it was at that moment after the intro, I was like, wait, I didn't hit go live. So gosh darn it, man. But I'm this week's Dum Dum of the Week because I don't know what's best. I don't know better. I should have been a little bit more, on top of it. So I'm this week's Dum Dum of the Week just because, and I feel bad for missing last week. And do I have? Oh, here we go. Yeah, that's going to be the whole Dum Dum of the Week until I get my sound effect because I forgot to, import the sound effect. But it is what it is. Trial and error. Again, this is my first time maybe my second time doing StreamYard by myself. And hopefully it's good for you all. Anyway, so that's that for the first Dum Dum of the Week. So second Dum Dum of the Week. All right. So remember how I was talking about the Clippers? Well, Paul George actually straight up went on, I don't know whose podcast it was. Maybe it was his podcast. Maybe it was someone else's podcast. But he went on the record and he said that he's pretty much going to the Clippers. It's pretty much a given that he's gone from the Clippers. We don't know where he's going to be, but he went on the record on a podcast and straight up said this. This is pretty much paraphrasing, but he called playing with the Clippers compared to playing with the Lakers. Get this, guys, listen. He called playing with the Clippers a B team.
Oh, come
on! Where's the lap? Where is literally the lap? Yeah, he called the Clippers the B team. And where's my laughing sound effect? Oh gosh dang it! There's no laughing sound effect into this. But oh man, he called the Clippers the B team. Can I just say, the dude he literally signed with the Clippers. He had the option to go to the Lakers, but the dude literally decided to go to the Clippers, and now he's called them the B team or the number 2 team. Oh man, Paul George, I'm sorry, but this was on you. That's on you going to the Clippers. Maybe you should have been a little bit more wiser than to freaking sign with the Clippers. From a Lakers fan perspective, I think everyone will just laugh and throw their heads back and say, Paul George, this is all your fault. I can't blame this all on you, though. The Clippers were able to pretty much trade an entire haul for you to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And look who's having more success. The Thunder's having more success, while the Clippers still they're straight up struggling. They can barely get out of the first round. Yes, they had that one year where they advanced to the Western Conference semifinals for the first time in what seemed to be forever. But they have not done anything since. And remember, this was the same Clippers team that had all those superstars in their prime, like prime Kawhi, prime Paul George, prime Lou Williams, who all unfortunately left. They had all those guys pretty much in their prime, and they wound up blowing the 3-1 lead to Denver, which eventually they lost to the Lakers, which wound up winning it all. But Clippers, Paul George, I'm sorry. God bless the guy. The dude came back from a nasty leg injury when he was with USA Basketball, but I can't blame you for literally saying that. But it's your fault for literally, going to that team in the first place. So I'm sorry, Paul George, but you're kind of the dumb of the week. And that, my friends, is all she wrote with the Dum Dum of the Week. I know it seems pretty penny ante right there. I'll probably have better and bigger and better Dum-Dums of the Week. I just wanted to get something out there. I just can't believe Paul George literally said that the Clippers were the B team. You were the one that signed with the Clippers. This L is on you. All right, but on that note, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Friday afternoon, Friday evening, Friday, wherever you were listening from. I really do appreciate it. If you listen live, I appreciate you. If you listen on the playback, I appreciate you. If you listen at work, I appreciate you. If you listen at any time, any place, anywhere, I appreciate you. Shout out to Adam Karnick for tuning in, Ralph Cleese for also tuning in, and Alden K for also tuning in. I really do appreciate y'all tuning in. For everyone here at IE Sports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. Have yourself a great rest of the weekend. Enjoy the SoCal sports action. We are almost fully back, lads. And I will see you Sunday for Set Point. Yes, I'm doing Set Point on Sunday. And now it's time to get on out of here because I got me an event that I got to go to, and I got to get dressed. Yeah, dig?